Brown pumping off adrenaline. I'm way too in my element. I know there's people better than, but right now who is better than? A man that's working hard as shit, trying to find a pot to piss, showing all the ups and downs.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, today, obviously, is a video episode, which I haven't done. Honestly, I don't think I've even ever uploaded a video on because I've recorded so many that got too busy. But nonetheless, we got Eric from Beyond, and I'll let him introduce himself. But to give you guys some context of the podcast episode today, one, for me personally, I want to get more into the video side of things to showcase a lot more of that energy. And honestly, video is a lot more better for social media platforms to give you guys that impact. Audio isn't for everybody. But today we have a phenomenal guest, Eric, which I've actually worked personally with him now, probably past year, but professionally I've been with him for I'd say probably like 4 years now, just since I started working at Stomaching years ago. Been in each other's back pockets a little bit. So for me personally, I'm giddy as hell. I was nervous as fuck to do the podcast because just the fact that you reached out and was like, yo, I didn't know you had a podcast. You want to jump into it. So I'm honestly a kid in a candy shop. This is the dream come true, to be honest, to have you on. Even the fact that like we're talking to you from Beyond, I'm sponsored by Beyond. I love your guys' products and stuff. But enough about me. Everyone knows who I am. So let's jump into you, Eric. Who are you? Where are you from? Where are you based out of?
There is nothing to be nervous about whatsoever here, buddy. It's all about having a good time. Yeah, I was just randomly like scrolling through Instagram and I saw you drop like the whole podcast thing. I was like, shit, you're one of our boys. Let's get on this. Let's help promote both of our stuff and then roll with it, buddy. Let's roll. So I'm the VP at Beyond Yourself. I've been with these guys for come September, 10 years. It's a whole decade with these boys. So I've gone from a tiny little brand where not many people knew, based out of Quebec, to literally being in several different countries across the world. And I've seen the brand grow to like days where we've kind of been like, oh man, is a brand like, are we going to make it to the next level? What's going on? To essentially right now we're almost like about 95% done of our newest $5 million expansion, which is like absolutely crazy to think it's my second expansion with these guys. So we're obviously doing something right. If you're expanding, if you're adding more square footage to the facility, which we own the land, we own the building, all the manufacturing equipment in there and everything, right? So it's been a wild ride, not to say the least. A lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline. We've actually had to pump the brakes on so many initiatives because we wanted to make sure we got the actual like structure and foundation in place before we move on to the next level of the company. And I think that's one of the hardest things too, is being like, you've got that mindset of go, 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 but you got to be able to pump the brakes because you don't want to go too far ahead, because you want to make sure that the structure's there to support all that growth. Because we've done it before too, where we've taken 10 steps forward and we didn't have the right structure underneath us and it crumbled. And it's a couple like lessons you got to learn throughout the days in and out of having a business and like being part of a smaller company like this. But it's been a wild ride. It's been a fun ride. I get to meet great people like yourself all throughout the journey, and we go from there.
Hell yeah, dude. And I love that you said like about like you kind of pump the brakes sometimes. I feel like that's the biggest thing I've learned personally about running my own business is you have all your eggs in one basket to a degree because you're so excited
Yeah.
and everything's great and everything. I don't know if everything's yours, but you have a lot of pride on what you're doing because you're so connected to you personally. And I think that was the biggest thing I learned about being an entrepreneur was that you have to almost learn another avenue of slowing down, reflecting, and I don't want to say be grateful, but like you said, you got to be prepared for that foundation because in hindsight, you're like, it's just going to work out. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's doing a lot better. We should sit here for a minute and let it like kind of manifest a little bit more because it's beyond our dreams at that point, right?
Oh, 100%. Like the amount of times like we've kind of like, walk into a store or something like that, right? And like, yeah, like some of these retail stores are like maybe like 800,000, 1,200 square feet. So not a lot of space. But you look at like all the brands there, and I'm like, sometimes you kind of just go in and just take a step back and be like, look how much shelf space we've been able to take. And look at how many products we've been able to launch and how many flavors and how many different products we've got into already saturated categories. Like for example, like the new product we just launched right now, Korea.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, you gotta come with an EAA, and it's gotta be EAs, it's gotta be, and then like a hydration mix. And then like I look at the wall, it's like that brand has that brand has that brand has like, so like how do you differentiate yourself? And I think that's one of the biggest things I love about Beyond Yourself. And like that's one thing I kind of like preach to like people who like come to me like whether it's personal development or they want to do something in their life. It's like you've always got to find a way to be different. You don't
Hmm.
want to go in and compare yourself to compare yourself to something, another product on shelf, or another person you're competing with, or another person that, say, for example, you're going to do an interview. Like what do I have to do? It's what makes you different from everybody else. And there's always something in there that makes you different for that, but you got to really make sure you hit that home. That's like what we've got when we launched our greens product. We put EAs in there. There's no other product that has it in there. When we came out with Amino IQ, at that time there was no like. That's when another brand came out with like the EAs or the BCAs with caffeine. Like, okay, that's kind of like the hot trend right now. But how do we get in there but still differentiate ourselves? So we added the nootropics in there as well too. Super set. Everyone's got 9 grams of citrulline. We've got 9 full grams of citrulline plus the HICA in there, plus so many other ingredients. And this newest product that you were just talking about was Kriya. So essentially, like, how do we get into that EAA category, but with no comparables? We added the 5 grams of creatine in there. All of a sudden, people are like, "Oh shit,
Like
creatine's so
Bible.
hot! Creatine's so hot right now." But so are EAAs. Like putting those together plus some BT and Hika, it's like and that's like for me as like a sales rep, that makes my job so easy because
Hmm.
it's not like I'm walking into a store and be like, "Hey, I got a new product for you. Like, tell me about it." I was like, there's like, I literally sent an email being like, if you, as a joke, it was kind of
Yeah.
like, I'll go in. If you can find me a product that's as comparable to Kriya, I'll pet your plants. I'll rewire your printer. I'll dust your shelves. I gave him like this whole list of chores I'll do for you, knowing that there's no product in there that they can
Yeah.
compare it to. And I was also talking to another guy who just like he used to work out of Popeyes and he was a recent grad. He's like, what do I do to kind of like how do I like try to find a new job or anything like that? I was like, dude, you gotta stand out. Like,
Hmm.
yes, everyone has their strength, but what are you gonna kind of do to differentiate yourself during that interview process to be memorable? Everyone's gonna sit there and remember, oh, this guy was polite, this guy had great skills, but a lot of people, if you're at that step with the interview, you all have that same skill. It's how you're going to differentiate your people with that. Same thing goes with the products and the brand itself too. And then same thing for your business as well. Like what makes you stand
Hmm.
out next to, because there's so many people in this space. Why
Yeah.
should people go to you? Yes, you can give awesome training plans. Everyone can do that. You can give great diet plans. Everyone can do that. But like, what's your niche within your industry that you're battling for? And be like, nah, that's my guy. That's my homie. I got to go with.
Well, to be honest, like Beyond stuck out like a sore thumb for me personally. Like, and it's funny because like obviously I worked with previous supplement companies before, but I honestly got those through being in the scene. It wasn't me trying to be active with them, and not to shit on any other brands, but I
Yeah,
remember even working as operations management at Sullivan King and doing orders. I'm a business background. I went to business school. I love looking at KPIs and look at the numbers because there's that famous quote like, you know what, women lie, men lie, but numbers don't. And I love the non-emotional part of that. And the thing that always stood out about Beyond was the specific avenues of what your guys' products were. Because I originally got into Beyond through Amino IQ. When I
yeah,
got like I was out of the gym for over 3 injuries, and Amino IQ was the first thing because nootropics, mental health, and that's what my brand is more so with training is an addition to mental health, mindset, lifestyle. And I remember I started kind of looking at other products. All of a sudden, they're super set, winning how many awards back to back in terms of the best pre-workout. And I was like, damn. And then it was like a year after year, the greens, year after year, this, year after year, the protein. And then it was your guys' vegan line too, a protein.
yeah,
So I love that you guys stayed in your lane, but the lanes that you guys had, you guys owned. And
yeah.
that's actually what made me reach out as a person. Like I remember I reached out to you a little bit over a year ago. I was like, yo, like, and I remember again, because it's almost again, how do I make myself stick out, right? And I was like, and I originally said more bodybuilding, but then you said lifestyle, and it's cool how we organically connected with that because I love Beyond, and it's crazy to see that like a lot of my clients are using the links and they're enjoying it and stuff. But it's exactly with what you said. You guys stuck out, sorry. And even when I started following Sean and more of the team, I was just amazed that you guys just stay in your lane, stay in the arena that you guys created. And like you said, it's not even going out and it makes your job easy. You don't know how to market yourself. It's like, hey, this is you guys know what we do. So if
Yeah,
you want to be part of it, we're going upwards. If you guys want to go up too, let's keep going. And I love that guy.
100%.
I love your guys' energies about that.
And there was like earlier on, there was that point where it took us a while to kind of figure out how to stay in our lane and do our own thing. Like, let's be honest, like, because like it's in such a competitive space that you're in. You're always like, oh, okay, like yeah, I follow other brands. Yeah, I see what other people do, and just kind of keep my I'm on the pulse of what's going on in the industry, right? And there was like, I think it was like, I don't even know, like 5 or 6 years ago, we were going, and there's like a brand that was kind of like catching a lot of momentum, all this kind of stuff. And for a bit, they're like, well, they're doing this, we gotta do this. They're doing this, we're gonna do this. And then it was like we got so stressed out, and it kind of took us away from like our past and our mindset, where it was
Yeah.
literally like one day me and Sean just like jumped on the phone and we're like, why the fuck are we chasing these guys? It's
Yeah.
like what do we do? Like what do they have that we don't? And it's like we paved our way so far, then we got sidetracked with this, and it's taken us away from our ultimate goal of who we want to be as people, as businessmen, as a brand. It's just like, let's just drop this. Who cares what they're doing? And go back to what makes us who we are. And then like at that point, it just went from zero to a million. It catapulted because we spent so much time and effort trying to see what these guys were doing. We weren't focusing on ourselves. And like there obviously with that, there's negative connotation with it as well too, because it's like, oh, I can't believe they did this first. Why didn't we think of this? And it's like all that negative self-talk
It's
where
that
it's like
comparison you're talking about. You're stuck
it's
in
like
that comparison
comparing.
trap.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Then you're like, oh, we should have done this, shouldn't it? Like when you're comparing yourself to yourself and just that and to what you're doing, you're focusing on your own goals. That outside noise kind of just like fades away. And you
Mhm.
essentially do get this tunnel vision of here's our goals, here's what we're going after, here's what we're building. Brick by brick, we're going to take this to the next step. And now what we see more and more often is there's a lot of we're that brand that people are looking at towards us. We
Mhm.
see so many brands coming out and copying things that we're doing. I get it, it's part of the industry, part of the game. It's not only in the subs, it's everywhere. People sit there and mimic, and it
Yeah.
happens. But what takes you to the next level and holds true is that your brand value and your brand power that you have, and we've been able to build that, and you can't build your own power and your own equity by trying to do what someone else is doing. And that's like
Man.
I still remember that phone call where me and him were like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? Let's just stop. Who cares what those guys are doing? Let's drive our own car, our own land, let's do our own thing. And then ever since then, it's like, oh man, here we go.
I love how you say like, brick by brick, brick by brick, you kind of build your own lane and get tunnel vision. Because I feel like for me personally with my business, I was so adamant on mental health being the focus because, like you said, anyone can do a training plan, anyone do the nutrition side of things, especially aspect the access to social media, access to the internet, AI, and things. All that stuff is I don't want to say like it's just cookie cutter these days, but all of it is applicable at some point. My biggest
Yeah.
thing was like, why do people want to change so much, right? And that's what inspired me to get into the fitness. So I love how you say that because it's that initial start to getting tunnel vision and that start to kind of stay in your own lane you're gonna compare. You're gonna get caught up in the
Oh yeah.
anxiety. You're gonna get caught up in all these different traps. But it's about that staying in the arena, staying consistent, and then you finally start to have those aha moments. And if you're blessed, you get people like yourself to have a community with Sean and working with people that are like, hey, hold on, let's shut the fuck up for a minute and kind of look at some stuff and say, what are we doing? And then you realize, oh, we've got a lot more success than you ever imagined, but
Yeah.
we're utilizing it not efficient. And then when you kind of break out that tunnel vision and play this how we want to do it, I think that's where everyone can take like because it's fitness, it's boundaries with your life, it's like your interpersonal relationships. When you can kind of get what you want within everything you're doing, I think that's the icing on the cake because you can have everything that you want and you dreamed of and you're proving it. And I think that's
Yeah.
just the greatest part about finding your own lane. And I love seeing that your guys is like I feel like every 2 minutes when we're talking in the that affiliate group, there's always something coming down the pipelines that we're all like, just tell us fucking more, man. What else do you guys got
Yeah.
going on? But
And
it's
then like that
super what you guys got though.
and that's the crazy thing too. It's like when I said like we had to pump the brakes and kind of and kind of prepare ourselves for the next level. Like this expansion that we're doing right now, I think we started planning like I think like the first shovel hit the ground like almost 3 years ago. And it's like so it took like a couple of years to plan everything out, like the blueprints of the building, what we're gonna do, and all this kind of stuff. And like on paper, you're like, okay, sweet, 12, 18 months max, we're good. And we're getting close to 3 years now because
Yeah.
there's just so many things that like you don't think would happen. And you're kind of like, why is this shit happening? Right. So it's like the reason why we did this next expansion is because we make everything in house, right? So when we bring in like empty tubs, labels, like all that kind of stuff, we need to store it in our own facility. And we caught such a quick fire on as far as like brand momentum. Like we went from like 0 to 100 within like 6 months. And we were just
Mhm.
like, there's even times where me and Sean were in like the back room in the manufacturing, like hand filling tubs because the line was going at full capacity, and we're sitting there trying to do what we can to fill it up as well too. So like, this isn't sustainable. We got to expand, which is a great problem to have. If you're expanding, it means things are going well, right? So we got the building going up, construction, all this kind of thing. As you know, like, construction never goes to plan. And like they'll give you a
Never,
timeline. They're like,
never.
never, right? But it's like little things where it's like like so where our facility is Saint Louis, Quebec, tiny little town. I think it's got like 900 people or something like that. So they built first the warehouse space, because the warehouse space we can obviously store more products. When it came to adding that additional square footage, the city itself didn't have enough water pressure to feed the sprinkler system in case the fire broke out. So like shit like this, you don't think about. You'd be like,
No,
you
you
think
can't
about like,
calculate that in the budget too.
right.
You
So
can't
all and like talk about budget. I think that sprinkler system ended up costing like $500,000 that we had to pay for. Because essentially, because like the city's like, no, you gotta pay for it. We're telling the city, no, you gotta pay for it. And then while they're going back and forth, Sean's like, well, we can't have this delay our facility because essentially we're not making enough product. We need this here. So Sean's like drops the check. Here you go. We'll deal with this later. But without enough water pressure, the sprinkler system won't work. Without the sprinkler system, you won't get insurance coverage. Without insurance coverage, you can't use the facility. So it's like little shit like this. You're like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
And then like, you get like the banks involved, and they have their certain processes of what they want to do with the loans and all this.
You're
So it's
relying on
like,
the people to answer emails to tell you you're good to go.
yeah. So people are sitting there like, when's this back in stock? When's this come back in stock? It's like, dude, like we'll make thousands and thousands of units of protein, and like they're made, they're in the warehouse. The next day, it's all gone. Like
Mhm.
that's how quickly this stuff is going. And we
Mhm.
just get then. So the other part of it was we can't make it fast enough, so we have to add another machine that we're coming in, and that's going to take. That's another like I think it's like $1 million investment we did on top of that as well too. And we were dealing with one machine company, and then certain things didn't pan out properly, and like we had a deposit on it. I went to go put the remaining payment on it. They're like, yeah, we sold your machine. And you're like, what do you mean you sold it? It's not like you're walking into Walmart and being like, I'll take that big screen TV. Like you're talking about $1 million machine. So
Yeah.
that set us back another 6 months. We're like, Jesus, what's going on? But the good news is we're very, very close to the end. Like I think with that, like they've already sent the powder to get the machine running. So like we're close to be able to finally be like, we know what our floor is. We know like we can do. We don't know what our ceiling is because we've never
Mhm.
had the capacity to be like, okay, we're running full throttle. We're making as much product we want. There's no more in and out. People are like, okay, we have that consistent flow. That's one of the biggest reasons why we do it in house, because we want to control of our inventory. We want to
Mhm.
be able to, one, control what we put in the product, to make sure what we put in the product is on the label. It's all transparent, all Health Canada approved, all third party tested. And we want to be able to essentially have complete control from the manufacturing to the end consumer of our products.
Mhm.
And it's been a wild, wild, crazy, crazy wild, because people are just like, why don't you have it in stock? It's gonna be pretty easy to just to make
I get
products.
messages like what I get messages from my clients like, why aren't the 5 pounds in? Why aren't that? And
Yeah,
I always make it a joke and say, well, it's better to have them not in stock because they're always being sold out than they're always
yeah.
being in stock and you're kind of questioning
Just
why is that?
over, right? And like one of the things too, you got to think is like there's so many pieces that get put into a product
Mhm.
coming from different parts of
Mhm.
different businesses. So you got, let's just take AMRAP for example. You get your tub and your lid from one company. You get your label for another company. The shrink probably comes from that company as well too, though. Then you got your powders from different suppliers. Then you
Totally.
got your scoop that you get from a different supplier as well too. So like right there, that's five people, five
Yeah.
different businesses that you're relying on to come in.
Yeah.
And that's like once it comes in, it's not like we're good to go. Like you got to quarantine all the raw materials, make sure what you brought in from these manufacturers or from these suppliers that it's legit what it is. Then when you're done the whole manufacturing process, you go third party testing. Then you put it into quarantine. Then you have the boxes. You gotta make sure, like we've ran out of boxes before, and like
Yeah,
and like
they're gonna
that and like that obviously affects the whole shipping and logistics process too, right? And like if for some reason we run if we get short shipped on scoops, you can't send tubs without any scoops or anything like that. So there's so many pieces that like you don't as a end consumer you don't really think about, but there's
Mhm.
so many things that come into play to make sure you have that tub at the end of the day in
Yeah.
there, and it just like it's wild to think when you kind of sit down, and be like, oh my god, yeah. And then when you think of different shortages of raw materials, and like
Yeah.
you see
That
you
creatine
see
shortage 2 years
the
ago.
creatine shortage, and like you see what's happening with protein right now. Protein prices are going absolutely through the roof, and people are like, why is it going through the roof? It's like when there's a shortage and prices go up, that's part of it because the demand is so high you can't keep up with it. And now everybody's putting protein in everything,
People made
absolutely
it
everything. And they're
everywhere.
not going after like the tubs of like the 5 pounders that we have. I think like a 30 grams per scoop. You got so many big CPG companies like Pepsi and Kellogg's are putting like 5 or 10 grams into like a bar or a pudding or something. And your average consumer thinks, sweet, I got my 10 grams of protein, I'm good for the day. Where you and
100.
I know if you're an active person, you need much more than the 5 to 10 grams of protein
Yeah.
outside of your diet. But to them, it's like a mental thing, be like, okay, cool, I got my protein intake, I'm good.
Yeah.
But those are the guys who are clawing away at that big chunk of protein that
Yeah.
our industry goes after. But 5, 10 grams here times millions of people each time,
Yeah.
that essentially that raw material supply that we have dies shrinks down tremendously, which causes the price to go up and all that crazy stuff. So hoping the protein prices go back down soon. I'm hoping, but it's you never. It's like the whole supply demand thing. It's crazy, and things that we can't control. Like we have people like, why is your protein going back in price? Why are you increasing the price? It's like we're not the ones doing it. It's the
Yeah.
raw material suppliers because they have lack of supply for it.
Yeah, and the demand gets higher. But two things I want to highlight that you said is and I don't want to, obviously this isn't 100% facts of what I'm about to say, but like I'm pretty sure you can't tell me many other people that are in the top boards of like the companies that will be sitting and putting scoops of their own things in their products. Like you and Sean being in the back of the warehouse and actually filling things with your own hands. I want to
Yeah,
highlight that anyone listening just goes to show your guys' brands buy-in. This isn't a job for you guys, and that's where I feel like for me personally, like this fitness industry is so saturated on every end that a
yeah,
lot of things become transactional. Like you said, we mimic each other. Everyone's doing different things similar, but it's like how do you stand out? And that right there, I really want to highlight because I'm such an advocate for Beyond for so many reasons, and obviously you alluded to a lot of them. But who at the top of the company, any job anywhere, despite even being like regardless of what we're talking about, is going to be putting their hands into the actual work. Most other
yeah,
CEOs, most other high end people would just be like, hey, you know, forward an email to one guy saying sorry, we're SOL. Forward this email, and they'll sit back with their check, right?
yeah,
So I want to that, but I also want to highlight just you explaining the attention to detail to all the products because it just shows the commitment to the bigger picture. Do you know what I mean? It's not because again, you can't send without a scoop. One of those raw materials is off, we can't do it. If one of
yeah,
one of these guys just happens to be shortage on something, then everything gets pushed back. And I think it's so eye-opening for that because in a world where everything's so I don't again not transactional but easy accessible, we can Amazon something like prime example, Beyond's on it. It's like, oh, what's the next thing under? I can have it here in 48 hours on the front door.
yeah,
Think it's like that attention, that little bit of extra quality, like prime example, that's standard. I'm not going to just settle 10 grams of protein in a Kellogg's bar. I'm going to look at the actual fitness side. I'm not going to settle for this trash protein because of X, Y, and Z. I'm going to wait until the real good stuff's available. So I just want to highlight those two things because I think the attention to detail of that is just it speaks volumes, but not many people would sit there and be like, that's look, give you kudos is what I'm saying. You
yeah,
know, because that's you tunnel vision, you guys sitting there knowing what your guys' brand is, and instead of sitting back and like, oh, well, let it be what it is, like, no, we're gonna move this. We're like you said, we
yeah,
don't know the ceiling. We're gonna find it. Whether we gotta be in the trenches with you guys or whether we gotta be on the phone yelling at each other, figuring shit out. So I just want to highlight that because it's just big, man. You know, not many people are gonna be sitting there and doing that, and that's why I want to work for myself. Because everyone that's a business owner to a degree says they want to be the man behind the smoking gun and say they're doing
yeah.
everything. 9 times out of 10, they just want the allocates.
100% people want to be like that top CEO that's high in the company, showing off like the luxury cars and all that kind of stuff. And but like when you sit there and say like this, like it took us like I'm thinking like back, like it's took us like 10 years to
Mhm.
get to like our third phase. And like there's times where like me and Sean have conversations, be like, what's our like if this doesn't if this brand doesn't work, like what's our backup plan? Like there's like what's your exit strategy? Like if this doesn't work, and it's like I remember like there's times when like it first started where my wife Steph, she'd be like, "Are you gonna have dinner with me, or are you just gonna talk to Sean the whole time?" Because me and him, or constantly like we're just sitting there bouncing ideas off of each other, like, what do we do next? What's the next big thing? And it's like definitely that analogy with the iceberg of like you only see like the 10%, you don't see the 90% underneath what's going on underwater. Like that holds true to all of our product launches as well too. Like we've literally launched only like 10% of the ideas that have come to our vision. Like there's times where we've taken pre-workouts and we've been in the gym about to puke our brains out because what we thought was sweet on paper, once you mix it in, was absolutely awful. And like certain fat burners that we tried, we were like are having heart complications because of all the ingredients we put in there. It's like, no, this isn't good. And like a recent one we just had, we're working on a product, and all of a sudden we were in a hotel room and we had samples of it. And I'm looking over at Sean, and Sean's face is beet red. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? He's like, I think we got too much niacin in there. And like he's walking out on the balcony and he's sweating buckets. He looks like he's about to explode because he put away. He's like, yeah, we don't think customers are going to have a good idea, like a good feedback, a good experience with this. So let's pull that, or at least lower the dosage on it. But that's the kind of stuff that people don't see, right? Like that's the late nights, the rejections, and like you've seen like people say, "Oh, I keep my receipts." 100%, I've kept receipts of like the phone calls I've made. People are like, "You're a small brand. You guys don't know what you're doing. They'll be gone in a couple of years." Or, "Why are you calling me? You don't have any business on my shelf." And now all of a sudden they're like, "Hey man, when you get more of that protein, can you make sure I'm the first guy to call?" I'm just like, not to bring anything back, but like that's like some people, when they get rejected, they get pissed off, like, "Oh fuck that guy, I'm done." Like for me, like that's motivation. Like you say no to me, I'm like, all right, how do I turn this into a yes? And it's like it's that competitive that comes out with me. Like I'm not going to, you say no, that's not the end of the conversation. For me, that's just the beginning. That's like now we're starting to dance on the dance floor, and we're going to figure out how we turn this from like a little slow dance to a salsa, and we're going nuts on it because I know I belong on the shelf. I know I belong in that customer's hands. What are your roadblocks for thinking no? And before it used to be like, "Are you small? You don't have enough marketing. You don't have a big enough team, big enough facility." And like it's like all that stuff's grown to fruition. We have all those amazing things. So, like for example, for Korea, I had one guy's like, "No, I don't have enough space on my shelf." I was like, "Here we go, buddy. Now we're gonna have a couple conversations. Figure out it's not the space. What is it?" Kind of thing, right? So it's just that competitive edge that keeps you going. And I've always treated this like my baby. It's like there's certain times where it works, or in my advantage, and certain times it works to my disadvantage, where like I take my job personally. It's not like after like 5 o'clock I turn off the switch and that's it. I clock out, I clock back in the morning. Like for me, it's 24/7. I'm Eric from Beyond Yourself. Yes, I'm a husband. Yes, I'm a father. All that kind of stuff too. But I don't turn off my Beyond Yourself hat, because anyone I talk to could be a potential customer as well too, right? And there's certain times where like when stuff gets dark with Beyond Yourself, or we're having a rough patch, I take that so personally. And like that kind of like that'll segue to like kind of our mental health part that we'll talk about here too. It's like I'll take certain things so personally, and I'll start going after like myself, being like, "Oh man, like what can I do better? Where am I failing?" That kind of stuff. Where on the positive side, people are like, "Eric, we love supporting Beyond Yourself." Big reason of that is because we love you as well too. We love who you are a person. We love your values. We love how what you guys do at Beyond Yourself from a product standpoint. So it works both ways. But yeah, there's some dark days where you're kind of like, "Oh shit, man, is this the end? Like, how are we? Like, do I have to go find another job? Are we going to go bankrupt?" But it's just like that's sales. Sales is an emotional roller coaster. One day you can stand on top of the mountain and scream like I'm a champion, and then there's certain days being like, "Should I just turn into a magician because this is not working out?"
Well, I think like the when you come like this, that personal buying has to be there. You almost got to be a little bit crazy to a sense, and that's the
Yeah.
thing that makes me really love my job because I've always been in the fitness industry since I was 21 and I'm 30 now. After my business degree, I got in like gym sales, worked in corporate gyms, then worked with like the private market with like supplement king stuff. So I've always been in the fitness industry and I was always just big on personal buy-in because I take it personal too. And it's not from a personal standpoint that like, it's hard not to manifest or internalize it and be like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? But it's more of like a personal thing where it's like, what don't you see? Like
Yeah.
I said, I was like, we don't have space on the shelf. It's like, well, that's not the answer. It's like, what am I not seeing or what are not you seeing? But I love the personal buy-in because I think you're never going to get to the that you never even with your fitness, like, you got to take that personal. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and gain muscle, lose fat. It's no, you got to take that shit personal. And if you don't have that little
100%.
bit 5 to 15% buy-in and that conviction that's personal, I think that's what separates a lot of people from like that little gap. For me personally, I feel the same way. When people don't want my coaching programs or even just like they think I'm being sales, they just want to have a conversation about fitness. I kind of take it personal because it's like I want you just to win. You don't have to hire me. You don't even have to listen to me. But it's like you're so closed off to some ideas of health in general
Yeah.
that it's like hell you're not seeing. But before we get into the mental health side of thing, when did you know fitness was going to be your career? Like like obviously growing up and things like when like obviously like we don't like I never if you could tell me 15 years ago that I was going to be running a business online, 50 plus clients on roster all the times, I would blow my mind. I'd be like that's not real. I'd probably go into some type of standard typical educational college, university, I don't want to say bullshit, but let's say blue collar thing where you work 9 to 5
Yeah.
and you take off your sweater, go home and live your life. When did you know that you were kind of different, especially and when did you know like fitness was your main thing?
Well, like growing up, I was always doing like sports. Like it was like super young. I was playing anything like gym class was like the soccer, volleyball, football, all that kind of stuff, right? And it was
Everything.
always everything into like track and field. Like it was something that I always wanted to be better. It was in my DNA. Is like, okay, I did high jump, I did like whatever. This is my height. How do I get better on that kind of stuff, right? And growing up, I played a lot of competitive volleyball as well too. So like
Mhm.
after a bit, I kind of playing so many sports, I started to kind of carve my way into like, okay, what am I good at? What can I really start to focus on for that? And so I've always been into fitness, and then it wasn't until like when it came to like weight training that literally didn't hit till like grade 10 because it
Mhm.
was literally like it was never introduced to me. I never had access to it or anything like that. And then in my high school, they actually introduced a weight training class, and I was
Yeah, same
just
with
like,
you. That's how I got into it.
I don't know. I think I was like grade 9. I think I was like 5'10", 5'11", like 160 pounds. Like I was like a toothpick and playing volleyball and like I had a good vert, but I also knew I had to put on some size. And when I started doing some weight training, I was like, okay, I'm not just going to weight train. Like this can help me increase my vert. This can help me increase my stamina on the court and that kind of stuff, right? And not once did I think me playing sports can turn into me promoting sports nutrition, me making money, me making a life out of it. For me, it was like, okay, whatever. And I actually started in the booze industry. So like when I was in university, there was like a marketing company they were doing like they did summer programs for university kids, and I started doing stuff. It was called the Budweiser Big Rig, where we traveled all over Western Canada to all these big events in essentially three Budweiser Transformers. One turned into a stage, one turned into a DJ booth, and one turned into a bar. And so I went from doing like all those parties during university to a Labatt Summer sales rep. And then I
Mm.
ended up working from there. I went to an advertising agency where I did stuff with Gibson's whiskey, but stuff with the CFL. So that's where I kind of first started to combine both worlds, where we had the sports aspect of the CFL, but obviously with the Gibson's whiskey part. And then I got one of my friend's husband. He worked for as a sales rep, and the company was looking. I ended up working for Jack Daniels. And
Oh wow.
yeah, so I worked with Jack Daniels for a year, and there I met someone who actually used to work at Muscle Tech, and she was
Mm.
doing the same job I was doing, just a different territory, and we became close friends. And then one day she kind of pulled me aside, and she's like, "Hey, I'm leaving Jack Daniels," and I was like, "What the fuck? Like this is like because we both started pretty much like 2 weeks apart, so like." we kept in like constant contact
Yeah.
because like we
Going through
kind
the
of had
exact same thing.
the exact same journey going through. And she's like, but I'm taking you with me. I was like, what do you mean you're taking me with you? She's like, I'm going to take you and we're going to launch a company called Cellucor in Canada. And I'm just like, I don't want to sell cell phones. That sounds boring. And
That's always-
this was in like Cellucor's like early days where C4 was just starting to make some noise. Like
Mhm.
it's like that's all they had. And she's like, no, it's a supplement company, you idiot. And I was like, can you give me some more information? She's like, it's not a startup, but it's pretty early. They're out of the US. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like Jack Daniels is like a legacy brand. They've been around for years, but then I'm just like, fuck it, let's do it. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, her and I launched Cellucor in Canada, and we went like Cellucor quickly escalated to one of the top pre-workouts in Canada at the time, and that's why I started making the relationships with all the guys I know now. And I
Mhm.
started as a territory manager with them, and I went within like 2 years, I became the director of global development with Canada with Cellucor there. And then we started getting more reps, more people. Cellucor started to explode internationally. Like it was like it went from this little tiny office that we had in College Station to this mega new facility in Texas, and we're like over a blink of our eye, we're like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah.
And it just went from such a small company to so many big people. It was like it was crazy to experience that growth, and it was cool to be part of that growth.
Yeah.
And then that started to become more corporate, which happens with many places, right?
Yeah. Well, they get
And
too
then
big, right? You can't keep
oh
your hand.
yeah, like you got to get more people in place to like the beginning conversation we had with this is you got to make sure that structure's in place
Hmm.
so you're not growing too quickly. So I was with Cycle for about 3.5 years, and that's when I met Sean as well too. And then me and Sean started chatting, and he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I'll take you on." I was like, "Okay, I think it's time for a bit of a change here." And it kind of went from like I went from tiny brand Cellucor to massive brand Cellucor back to tiny brand beyond yourself, but it was two different starting points because with Cellucor, it was essentially like decisions were made from up top, trickled down to the company, and I
Mm.
kind of got my blueprint of here. This is what we're doing. This is how we want you to execute it. Yes, I did have an entrepreneurial mindset with it, so I could do certain things my way, but that quickly diminished because of how quickly the company got
Mm.
to
Yeah.
back to beyond yourself is like, hey, Eric, your hands are going to be on literally everything, not just sales, product development, logistics, all that kind of stuff that it takes to build a company. Me and Sean are going in there shoulder to shoulder, making this thing grow. And
Yeah.
they're like, okay, this is pretty fucking cool because like I had my hands in creating Amino IQ, Superset, Greens, Korea. Like, well, I'm in there with it. So like I got my thumbprints on
Mm-hmm.
that as well too. So it's kind of like it kind of I guess when you like back to your question, how did I know I'd be in this space? Like I didn't. I enjoyed it. I loved
Yeah.
competing. I love doing playing sports. I love being active. Like it's always been part of my lifestyle. But to actually get like a paycheck from it, to be recognized with rewards from it, never would I think. I always thought I'd be like, I was a party guy. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like that lifestyle is not sustainable
Mm-hmm.
where when so like when I transitioned from here, I was like, okay, sweet, like this is something I enjoy living. This is something I love. And like even now getting older, it's more like I'm not going to the gym trying to crush a bench press PR kind of thing, right? Like for me, it's like I got a sauna, I got a cold plunge. Like it's more lifestyle and longevity. So like different mindsets have changed, but the fact that I could still do this on the daily basis, get paid for it, have a brain with it as well. It's kind of surreal, kind of like the same mind fuck that you were talking about, being like, wait a second, I do this every day regardless, but
Yeah.
now I'm like making money off of it and growing a brand and doing videos and doing podcasts. I thought it's pretty wild and pretty awesome at the same time.
I think it's incredible to highlight the risk that you're willing to take at a young age. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, because again, like you said, although that lifestyle as you like, with like doing like I don't want to say like as your party and stuff like that, but at that age, like it's the best of both worlds. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then it's like, and I don't want to say cookie cutter, but again, it's very hard to to take those risks. Like when you, like you said, leaving Jack Daniels, that was an easy decision. That's a whole different ball game. And then to watch it grow and then again take that risk on beyond yourself again. I want to highlight that because that's just how you grow and everything. Like I remember when I left Supplement King, it was abrupt, it was quick. It was like I just recommitted to 6 months with him. I was like, no, I'm good. Renegotiated some stuff, and then 2 weeks later, I was like, I gotta go. And it was
Yeah,
like, and I literally I remember saying to myself, this is the opportunity that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Either I'm gonna go and do it, or I'm gonna come back with my tail between my legs and we'll figure
yeah,
it out. The risk that you did, but I would have never in a million years think that thought that was your upbringing. But it shows like it's not so much about the end goal as much as it is like what are you doing each day that's going to reward you, fulfill you, and what you're actually doing. Like you said, that natural competitive translation from sports to the work field made you follow almost the right patterns to take that risk and jump into it because you knew what you're capable of versus where do you want to go. And now look at you. You have kind of best of both worlds and had no fucking clue it was going to come true.
yeah. I know, and I remember like because it's like it's funny when people are like, "Hey, how'd you start in this industry?" And I was like, "Well," I tell them I started in the booze, and I remember being like walking into supplement stores and having no fucking idea of like
Yeah.
what certain ingredients did and how they interacted. I just knew like pre-workout energy and protein recovery. Like those are the things I just knew. And
Yeah.
like there'd be staff being like, how is this guy a rep for a company? So it was a
Yeah.
massive, massive learning curve. Like luckily there was like a lot of good people in this industry. So like I met a lot of key players from like our customer standpoint who are just like, here's their hub, like, no, I get it. Like you're coming up from us in the industry. Let's sit down and let's go over certain ingredients. Let's go why you need this ingredient, what helps here. So it was a massive learning curve, which I absolutely love because I'm always trying to better myself every
Mm,
single day.
competitive
Just
nature.
something, right? Like I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna lose with my product being sold over a different one because I don't know what I'm talking about. That's all
Mhm.
on me. If I
Yeah.
can't get a product in shelf, that's not because the product sucks, because of this, because like I don't know how to properly pitch this product and tell
Mhm.
the store, the consumer that this is right for them and how this is going to make them either one money to the store and give them a satisfied customer. That's all on me. And I can't let that be the factor why I'm going to fail. I'm not going to let myself fail. So I got to go and sit there and do the studying. I remember every single day literally just doing Google searches. Like there was like from A to Z. There was a website I found that showed every single ingredient, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, "All right, every day I'm going to knock out 10 ingredients. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to read it. Not every single ingredient is going to be pertain to our products,
Mhm.
but there's going to be competitive products that might have them. So I need to know what's going on, why they put in that product, and I would just sit there and become an ingredient nerd. And that's kind of the cool thing too in this space is it's always changing. Certain products are allowed in, or certain ingredients are allowed in certain products. Some are not.
Mhm.
Sometimes they get
Yeah, like Canada versus US and things like
Canada,
that.
US. Sometimes Health Canada reintroduces it. Yes, you're allowed. Sometimes they ban and take it out. So if there is something that's really, really doing like really hot in the US, is there a comparable in the Canadian side of things as far as ingredients to be able to put that out there? So it's you're constantly learning in this industry, and that's kind of the thing that I absolutely love about it is it's not stagnant. There's always something new coming in and you trying. Like look at High Rocks right now. Like what the heck? High Rocks. High Rocks is just CrossFit on steroids. That's all it
Yeah.
is. Like let's do these CrossFit exercises, but let's go even crazier and toss a kilometer run between each one. Like it's
Yeah.
not groundbreaking, but it's exploding at the same time,
Yeah.
right? So like there's different things that evolve within this industry, which I absolutely love.
That's a big reason why I like the fitness side of things too. And everything we're talking about, the conviction, the buy-in, you're reading all the ingredient lists. How do you not take it personal at every angle? You
Yeah,
know, when you're putting so much time in your life into it, right? And it's funny because like I was on a call with a client recently and I couldn't get out of my head about like just like when he didn't want to continue the program. And he's doing phenomenal. And like, I agree with everything about it. I'm happy with him. Like I say he graduated, but it's still like that buy-in. And it's just like, you kind of get that little bit of undertone of like, hoping to see you in 3 months and you're kind of left field with it, right? So it's so funny that
yeah,
person comes into it. But obviously, a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of like time staring up at the bed, or even at the end of the bed, you're like, man, what am I fucking doing in my life? So how does mental health like play a role in this entire thing? The reason I want to highlight that is because obviously a lot of my audience is mental health driven, or I force them to be at least because I love talking about it.
yeah.
Like like how does what first off, I guess, what does mental health mean to you personally, I guess? I mean, obviously you don't have to speak for the brand or anyone else like that, but for you
Yeah.
personally, and like what's something like, when did you know like mental health was one of those things that you had to kind of have a factor in your life? Because again, as much as we love our life, we gotta handle the stress. Like you said, you
No,
never
for
really
sure.
take off this shirt. But again, are you married to your wife or are you married to Sean at the dinner? Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
how do we balance these different things, right? And this is a factor of mental health of boundaries and stuff, right? So, what does mental health mean to you? And when did you kind of realize like, and again, it doesn't have to be mental health label, but stress is mental health, these things, these factors, right? When did
Yeah.
you start taking more of that and into more serious?
Honestly, I think it's like it's I think it was like Damian Lillard from the Bucks when he's like, pressure is a privilege. Like if you've
Mm,
got pressure on you, it means like you're doing something right. If you got other brands or other people talking about you, it means you're doing something right. And
mm,
it's like if no one's talking, then it means you're irrelevant, right?
mm,
And the fact that we've had such a massive growth spurt with Beyond Yourself, like that pressure came quick and
mm.
it came like right out of left field because it's
Yeah.
one of those things like we were happy, we were not that we don't love life now, but like we were loving
Yeah.
life, things were cool, like the stress was there, like everyday work stress, but it wasn't like, hey, now you're like top two, top three of like a brand in Canada. Now we need you to perform consistently. Like there's
Mhm.
sales coming up, there's this, and you're like, holy shit. I think that's when it kind of hit us, and that's when we started talking about expansions and all this stuff and international and all and everything like that. And like I think the biggest stress does come from work because you put so much pressure on yourself to succeed. And like that's why I love going to the gym because for me, going to the gym and working out, that for me, that's my getaway. And that's for me to kind of reset mentally, to kind of go through what's causing my stress, what's causing me to have any kind of like mental anguish, what's going on. That's like in the gym is me versus me. And like,
100%.
and when I go in there, it's because like I'm the type of guy who, like, even before I enter those doors, my AirPods are in, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And the reason is because like I've only got so much time in my day to go to the gym, and I am a very, very social guy. Like I can go out and have a conversation with everyone, but at the gym, I'm not there to have conversations. No disrespect to anyone. People do, but not for me because I've got that 30, 45 minutes of me time because I'm going there before my kid wakes up. Because once I go home, I don't have time. I got to take care of the kid with the wife and then go to work and then after school, pick them up, take them to soccer, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going in there. I'm locked in. Like I'm not on social media. I'm not on text messages. I'm working out, and as I'm working out, like even between my sets, I'm doing max 30 seconds because I'm trying to crunch as much as
Mhm.
I can in there. And as I'm working out, that's where I'm kind of like having the conversation with myself, being like, what kind of derailed me yesterday, or what am I anticipating that's going to derail me today? How am I going to act on it? And what's my solution for that? And I'm kind
Mhm.
of sometimes that sometimes that builds anxiety because a lot of times when it comes to anxiety is you're trying to predict the future. You're trying to predict what the outcome's going to be, but at the end of the day, no one knows how it's going to come out. Like the
Never.
amount of times where something's happened to us and we're like, this product launch is going to fail, or they're going to delist this product because we made this move. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it just ends up being like, can you just fix this, Eric? And I'm like, I got so hyped up and I got into this tailspin all on my own for them just to come back and email being like, okay, totally cool, just fix it. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, how do I stop that? And for me, it's like going to the gym. I feel like when I'm at the gym and I'm like lifting weights, I'm able to kind of calm my brain down
Mm.
and kind of bring it down. Again, it's kind of counterintuitive. Like you're calming yourself out down, but your heart rate's getting increased, which is the complete
Yeah.
opposite, right? But and that's for me too. Is like just last year, I hate running. I fucking hate it. I sucked at it
Me too. I
always. But just last year, I started like I suck at it. I'm going to do it. Why? Because I suck at it, and I want to prove to myself that I can get better. And now all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm taking these, I'm buying these new running shoes every 3 months. I got these running shorts. I'm taking these little gels. Like, who the hell am I? But for
yeah.
me, when I go on a 5, 10K run, it's kind of the same thing where it's just like, this is just me and the road in front of me. And as
Yeah.
I'm running, I'm processing all these things through my brain, being like, okay, we're going to tackle this differently. You should have done this differently. And that's for me why mental health and fitness go work so well together, at least for me, because that way, like, it's after a run, I feel like any kind of anxiety that I had, it's gone. Like, it's out the
Yeah.
window. I've been able to talk it out through myself, and my body has like shed any kind of cortisol in there, and I'm ready to
Mhm.
kind of take on the day. And like the same thing too when I jump in the sauna, my wife's like, "How do you just sit there in silence?" And I was like, "Because there, when I go to the sauna, like that's me going one on one with my brain,
With
being like, all
yourself.
right,
Yeah.
this I don't want to listen to a pod, no disrespect to the podcast, but I'm like, I don't want to listen to podcasts in the background. I want to listen to music to like take away my mind to be able to tackle my daily days. It's
Yeah.
okay, I got 30 days to sweat my ass off in here, but also to go like, hey, this is the problem we're facing today. This is how we're going to tackle it. We're going to go with it.
It's funny to hear the competitive nature naturally come out of you for yourself within the fitness, even in the sauna. It's like, no, I'm gonna win. No, I'm
Yeah.
gonna win.
Oh, 100%, 100%. It's kind of like, and then I'll walk out and be like, okay, I did 30 minutes at X degrees. Is like, next time I'm going like 32 minutes. I'm cranking up
Yeah.
the temperature a bit higher, right? So I think it's always like I'm trying to learn Spanish. I'm trying like there's always
Yeah.
certain things like
Um,
how do I better myself? And like Spanish one's one because we go to Costa Rica for family vacations, but two, I'm like, well, we like the Latin American market is huge for supplements as well, and if I can go in there as a dude from Canada, speak some Spanish, like that's a
Fluently.
huge thing for
Wow.
us, huge thing for us
Yeah.
as well too, right? So that's a big thing. And I think that's something, and I'm glad you're doing that with your customer, with your clients as well. Is people think of fitness, they think of like bodybuilders, big muscles, and that's it.
Yeah.
Where for me, I find like going to the gym and running, like that's 95% mental, 5% muscle. Because, like I
100%.
said, I'm not going on there to try like I'm going to the gym obviously to stay healthy, cardio from a cardiovascular standpoint. I know from muscles and joints, like I know the benefits it has for that. But for me to go to walk through those gym doors, it's all for me. It's mental to run on that to run the 5-10K for me. That's a mental cleanse. And
I
yes,
love
us
that you said that. I love that you said that because that's exactly why I got into it and why I highlight the mental health side of it. Because even last year when I was competing, every post I did about my week prep and getting into it was right around the mental health side of it. I didn't want to I didn't want to talk about the workouts, the nutrition, that stuff. I want to talk about the self-actualization and the challenge with myself that it was because that's the same thing with me. And to highlight what you said too about the social thing, a lot of people that are in the industry, like as authorities, and like I'm confident, I'm happy, and I'm very proud to say that I'm an authority in the fitness industry. You are as well. That when you get into the gym, some people get rubbed the wrong way because you're not as social. And
yeah,
sometimes as well, like that's my time. My blinders are on. And
100%.
it's funny because I said to my girlfriend too, because she was like, "You seem like you get really upset sometimes when you're working out," and I'm like, "I'm in my brain, like I'm in the back 1%. Like sometimes I gotta go to the bathroom, sit down because I'm just like emotional because I'm really like in the trenches, and it's crazy to see." Like, because we can both speak from experience, the first time in grade 10 go to the gym, kind of tapping into that, self-regulation with the emotional side, all the way to now, you're running a 10K with a family, running a business that's top in Canada, and I'm doing a bodybuilding show 10 years later, running my own business, like paving my own way, paying my own way with my clients versus like, working a job before. I love that you just highlight like almost the mental health regulation from it because everyone's so quick to say fitness and workouts and like getting shredded and running faster. My high rocks time. I won a trophy or won overall. I'm gonna be a pro. I want to lose fat, but it's like, are you happy? Is
Yeah.
that all through that? And I think that's just the door that you want to open up with the fitness. And I really appreciate you sharing with it. But I know we've been at just about an hour, so I don't want to keep us too much longer.
Oh shit.
Um, yeah, no, we've been chatting, dude. I love it.
Yeah, I know.
That's why these conversations are so great, and I think they're eye-opening for a lot of people because a lot of stuff we highlighted has nothing to do with the actual work.
Oh, yeah.
So, it comes with the back end of the work, and that's what I appreciate it. To be honest, not to sound cheesy, but when I worked at Supplement King, I was very big with relationship with everyone that I worked with, and I feel like that's why we kind of got along too. Because no matter when we chatted, it wasn't just about how many do you need, what do you need,
Yeah.
gone. It was always like I'm always quirky, I'm throwing jokes, I'm talking shit, I'm left field a little bit sometimes. You know what I mean? And I think that just
Yeah.
adds to everything. And I think that I like, and again, I don't know everyone else and beyond, so I don't offend anyone else that listens, but me knowing you personally, I think that's a just to have the conversation with you today but then also have the conversation with you years ago about stocking the shelves and things like that, your
Mhm.
energy has never changed from taking care of the person. Even when I reached out 2 years ago, I was like, yo, like, what's it look like to be an ambassador for the program? Like, because again, I don't really like, I'm not that fitness guy where I put my name everywhere. I'm
Yeah,
very inclusive. Like, I do my own thing. I like that because I feel like my word is like my mental health. Not many people like that stuff, right?
yeah,
And I remember when I reached out then, it was still, we had a conversation about me as a person and you as a person, something like that, long lines, wasn't transactional and anything. So I know that's a direct correlation as to why Beyond has so much success, is because if you're the face of it and it's like, Sean has that energy too, other people behind closed have that too. I just think it's that right there is invaluable because like everyone can buy something, anyone to a degree can sell something, anyone go to the
yeah,
gym and get a membership and get a personal trainer, but not everyone can embrace the mental health. Not everyone can be personable. Not everyone can take it personal because they give a fuck. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? So
100%. Yeah.
I just appreciate you sharing all that. But honestly, I don't want to keep this too long. But I honestly, all I got is just a couple rapid questions. Unless you have anything else you want to close off with or highlight. I don't think I have any other questions for you. To be honest, dog, I learned a lot about you. You came up with the fact that you came. I can't get over the fact you came from the alcohol side before you got into the fitness. That blows my mind a little bit.
That always gets people. Yeah. No, like it's awesome. Like it's like I've always had such high praise for you. You're always like you mentioned when you're back in Supplement King. I was like, when you said you were leaving, I was like, like there's like I talked with so many people every single day, all across Canada in different countries. And then there's little gems that you find within different parts, right? And it's sort of like that's a guy who I can have a relationship with. That's a dude who I'm just like, he gets it, I get it, we're on the same wavelength. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna like these are the type of people that I actually had this conversation earlier today. It's kind of like, how do you do what you do? And it's like I give my energy to the people not who deserve it, or I give my energy to the people who I one deserve it, but who will give it back as well too.
Reciprocates the same
It's
energy.
it's it's not going to be someone's like, oh, I gotta go talk to Mike. Mike's going to be a dick. Mike's not happy for whatever reasons. I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, I'm going to make this conversation quick. Hey, Mike, this is what I have. Do you want it? Yes, no. Okay, see you later. Done. Book
yeah,
closed. That I'm not going to sit there and try to stretch out a relationship that's not going to be there. But then
mhm.
there's like when I come across guys like you, it's like, yes, this guy's a beauty. We'll get along well. Well, like this conversation or this, like you said, this podcast is gonna be an hour. Like it flew
Yeah,
by. I was like,
yeah,
it's stuff like this. Like when I meet people like that, I'm like, all right, sweet. So when you said you left, I was like, ah, shit. He was like my team. He's a part of my A squad guy. I could
yeah,
talk, have a conversation with. Like you said, that wasn't just transactional. But I'm glad that our journeys have brought us back to this, to you being
yeah.
part of Beyond Yourself, to you doing what you do. And I like absolutely 100% appreciate people like you come across my life and who help grow the brand to what it is today and to what it can be once this whole manufacturing facility is all up and running as well too. So it's been awesome to do this with you. It's been awesome to catch up. And I think we should do this again in like 6 to 8 months once everything's up and running. We can share all the new stuff that's going on with Beyond Yourself as well
Let's do
too.
it. I'm excited because I've already talked to my girlfriend. When we come to Ontario, when we come to that Helm Office gym, we got to get a workout in. I plan to do the show next year, so I would need that. I need that
100%.
to
It's
come
going to
through.
be all. It should by I think by the end of this year, the gym should be all decked out and all that kind of stuff. So like we have the one current one now, which is amazing, but this I think our current square footage is like 1,200 square feet. I think Sean's opening that bad boy up to almost 6,000 square feet. So like yeah, she's gonna be a beauty.
I love it. And I'm definitely gonna come
Yeah,
by, and even if I'll just show up on the doorstep. I feel like that's how they've
that's
shown up.
you're always welcome, my man.
But for rapid questions, I got one, two, three, four, five, just five rapid questions. It's not even it's just like almost like yes or no. But I feel like I already know the answer to this one. But one, what's your favorite way to get your cardio in?
Running right now, which again, I would never think I would say running, but for me, it's running. It's wild.
Favorite or least favorite exercise?
Least favorite exercise? Ooh, I don't know if I really have a least favorite exercise. It used to be squats
I was gonna
because
ask you about
it used to be squats because I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna walk around in pain for the next 5 days.
that.
But
Yeah.
then I realized the reason why I was in pain for 5 days because I never did it.
Yeah,
But now,
yeah, yeah.
so maybe, but I still like, I don't know. There's something walking into that squat rack. You're like, ah, fuck, here we go again. So I'll go with squats.
Biggest pet peeve in the gym.
In the gym, oh, fuck, man. People who just sit there and do nothing and are on their phone. Like that's like, especially because like you and me, we've got that tunnel vision. I'm in to do a mission, like to accomplish, and you get some guy. And again, each person has different goals and all that kind of stuff. So no judgment. But like if you go and you're sitting there at the bench and you're taking 10 minutes and you're on your phone for 10, like that to me, it's like, fuck, man, like do your thing. Do your thing, have a goal, achieve it, get off that phone. Just like
Yeah.
give yourself like at 30, 45 minutes of not having that thing in your pocket.
I agree, and at least have the awareness to like let people work in between because some of
Yeah.
us are tracking their
Yeah.
stuff.
That and stinky people. We live in a day of age where you should not be stinky.
That is true. I mean, I get sometimes I get global warming. You can call lacking sometimes. You wake up in a
Yeah.
sweat in a t-shirt, but bring some deodorant or something. I agree.
Get that spray, just a spray or something.
Yeah, exactly. Breakfast or dinner? Which is your favorite?
Um, ooh, that's a tough one because I love my breakfast. Like it sets the tone for the day kind of thing. But
Yeah.
then the dinner, you're like, you can feel like dinner, you can have like, I want to go dinner. Yeah, dinner.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like the hard ass in us wants to say breakfast because it sets the tone for the day and it's a work ethic.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
goes back into stress. Like dinner, I feel like you're like closing out the day. A little bit more of
yeah,
like king and a champion. Like, all right, I'm good.
yeah,
So
100%, 100%. Yeah, and you can't have pizza for breakfast. Well, technically you can, but
yeah, well, if you're just don't tell nobody sometimes.
yeah, exactly.
I already know the answer to this one because you kind of alluded to it during the podcast, but AM or PM gym sessions?
AM, 100% AM.
Yeah.
AM, 1,000,000%. Like I don't like for me, it's like after 9 a.m. I'm just like, nope, I can't do it. I got too many things on my plate,
Yeah.
too many things going. And then it's like, and then you say close quote unquote end of day of your work day. Like I'm going to preschool, picking up my kid, and I can't be like, hey buddy, great seeing you. I'm gonna go for an hour workout or anything like that. Like I want to
Yeah.
spend that time with my kid. Like to me, that's so precious to be with him to it. So it's like if I want to get an awesome workout in, I'm gonna do it before he wakes up and set that tone for him. And then like I've tried, like even if like he's got like some sport camp or something like that, like after school, the last thing I want to do after a crazy day is go lift some weights. And I've seen the studies that you work out later in the day, you get there's been studies that show more muscle mass and blah blah blah. But for me again, mentally, it's the mental thing where it's like, hey, that workout sets the tone of the day. If I don't do a workout, something's wrong with me and I'm sluggish and like why could I not literally roll my ass out of bed, put on some clothes and go for a run or go to the
Yeah.
gym? Like what's stopping me kind of thing. So
Funny you say that because one of my clients recently, she's trying to get into the gym and she's one of my long-term clients. I love her. She's been with me for a minute and she's like, I'm trying to get more habitual in the gym. And she's like, I just never did it. Like she asked me, she's like, and I was floored that I didn't know I have an answer. She was like, well, how do you just go so often? And I couldn't even really answer. I was like, what
yeah.
do you mean? I haven't not went since I started. And it's funny. It was a joke. It's like, I'll be late to my own funeral because I got to go to the gym first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It just like it's like one of those like I read that book Atomic Habits, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Great book.
it's just something where it's just literally it's your brain turns autopilot, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, wake up, go drink water, have my coffee, have my pre-workout snack, get in the car, go, and like I'd say like 80% of the time, my brain's not even thinking of what my task
Yeah.
is that day. My brain's thinking like 4 or 5 hours ahead, but the
Yeah.
body's on autopilot. Like, this is what we do, bro. We get up and we crush the day, and that's it.
Yeah. Last question to close it off. Best piece of advice to anyone who's just starting on their fitness journey right now.
Just start. Just start and don't give up. One of the best quotes I've heard is your body is not Amazon Prime. It's not going to come in one day. And it's so it's like one of those things where it's going to take time, it's going to take effort. It's going to be like one of those things where this is a work in progress. Your body's a work in progress. You don't want to be 80 years old in a wheelchair because you lived a horrible lifestyle, whether it's eating the wrong food, drinking too much alcohol, partying, all that kind of stuff. Like you can do that stuff in moderation, don't get me wrong, but it's like your your body and your brain are essentially your sources. That is essentially what keeps you going to do that. And it's a long game. I've seen so many people go in and be like, oh, I did this 30-day program and it didn't work out. It's like 30 days, bro, that you're just rounding first base. Like there's still so much more time to do, right? And like you'll find out too that during your fitness, your fitness journey, there's going to be times where you pivot, where you're like, you know what, I don't want to be a bodybuilder anymore. I want to get more into fitness. I want to be more endurance athlete. But as
Well, look
long
at
as you're
you're running now, right?
exactly like, who the heck is this guy taking energy gels? Like, what the heck am I doing? Like, even
Yeah.
said, even my wife's like, "What do you want for Father's Day?" And I'm like, I'm in a like I'm very blessed to be in a position where like if I want something, I can go get it. So I don't really need anything. So I sent her a picture. I was like, "Can you give me a pack of these like fruit energy chews?" She's like, "That's what you want?" I was like, "Yeah." Like it's stuff like that that keeps me going, right? So it's a long game. Your body's
Yeah.
not Amazon Prime, and like essentially, and connect yourself with the right people too, because like
Yeah.
it's people like
Environment.
you. There's
Fitness.
a lot of people out there with a lot of smoke and mirrors, being like, "I can transform, I can make you lose 10 pounds in 10 days." Like that's not healthy, man. That's
Mm.
not healthy at all. And if you get the right support system, both for physical health and mental health, you'll be on a completely different journey.
I love how you said it's a long-term game too, because you can't
Oh,
work out,
100%.
you can't work that bad commitment. And I always highlight that to everyone that I talk to is like just like 3 months in the gym, 1 year in the gym is phenomenal and tracking food and stuff, but that's not going to take 20 years, 30 years of neglect.
No, literally,
You know?
like people say, so like, what's the end game for the fitness journey? It's literally when you die. Like, not to sound morbid, but it's like the end game is like you can either die at 65 when not being healthy,
Mhm.
or you take care of your brain, take care of your body, and you're going 80, 90 years old kind of a thing.
Yeah, you're trying to get as long as you can out of your life, but
100%. And that comes down to health, right? And that's a big thing too. Like I've done more and more studies on brain health, on cognitive health,
mhm.
stuff like too, right? So it's like, what nootropics are you taking, or like even now
Yeah.
creatine. All the studies on creatine now, like helps with cognitive performance, helps prevent Alzheimer's and all that kind of stuff as well too.
Mhm.
It's amazing that that's coming out.
Yeah, and I love that you guys are having a big part of the focus of the brain focus side of things, which, like I said, originally got me into it because I was still rehabbing injuries at the beginning of like when I started working at Supplement King. So I was doing a lot of mobility and yoga, and I don't want to say calisthenics, but it's more so like stability things and
Yeah,
nootropics and eating into the mental health side of things was good, big. But honestly, dude, that's all I really asked for. All I needed from you today, man. We're definitely gonna do it again in the next 6 months, 7 months. We'll do a kind of like a little bit of a rip through the same questions. We can compare them and stuff as well. But unless you got anything else to add, I do want you to say like how people can find you. You know, throw out your Instagram, throw out Beyond's Instagram as well. You can just like read out your name and stuff like that, and I'll
yeah,
also in the episode description as well. But
beautiful.
other than that, dude, that's all I needed from you. I appreciate you a ton. Just give out your Instagram handles and stuff like that, so that people get the information so they can see the beautiful face elsewhere.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So make sure
we'll
you
let it go.
follow us. Beyond Yourself is at simply at Beyond Yourself. And then my personal one is A_SKI_ A ski. And literally, I think follow us there because you'll be able to see all the new stuff that we're doing with the new building coming out, all the new manufacturing, new products are all on there. I'm constantly on there promoting stuff as well too. So check us out. I appreciate you taking the time doing this with me, and I can't wait to see you in person, buddy.
I appreciate you, brother. Well, other than that, we'll close out the episode and see you later, everybody else.
Around pumping off adrenaline. I'm way too in my element. I know there's people better than, but right now who is better than? A man that's working hard as shit, trying to find a pot to piss. Showing all the